How's it going, folks? So I figured I'd go ahead and do a manga haul for January, and I wouldn't wait to do a bi-monthly video since I already have a significant amount of books. Although I do have just a few graphic novels, so that might still go bi-monthly. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll throw them into the back of this video. Who knows? But let me go ahead and get started. I'll go ahead and start with the publisher I love to hate. That would be Viz. And of course, I had to pick up Abara by Stomunihei. I have to say it was a very disappointing edition. It is a hardcover, but I don't think it was worth the price for 30 bucks. Of course, the story itself was very fun. It was great to see some old school Nihei again. And what can I say? I'm just not a fan of what Viz does with the sound effects. And then they give us some translation notes in the back here for the first chapter, which is kind of pointless since this book doesn't have page numbers. I mean, what do they expect you to do? Remember the page you're on and flip back and forth? And anyways, I don't know what Viz was thinking, but I enjoyed it being a Stomunihei fan. I can't complain too much. Then we have Ultraman, Volume 11 by Eiichi Shimizu and Tomohiro Shimoguchi. And this was a pretty action-packed volume. A lot of great action. So much action that I was kind of confused that time which Ultraman was which, and so on and so forth. And I am wondering what Shimizu and Shimoguchi are going to do now with Ultraman, because at the end they throw in some new characters, so now we have even more characters. They started working on Getter Robo, so now they're juggling two titles at the same time. I don't know how that's going to work out for them, unless they got like a bunch of assistants for each title. I have no idea. But enough rambling. I'm moving on to some old school Viz, which I have to say I'm a big fan of the older stuff of Viz. And I have a Viz graphic novel. I have AD Police. This is by Tony Takizawa. Big fan of Takizawa ever since I read like a single issue of Genocyber that I found like 2 months ago. If you're familiar with AD Police back in the 90s when OVAs were ultra violent and graphic, so I'm expecting some of that in the manga here. Great character design by Takizawa. It's kind of reminiscent of Otomo. Along with AD Police, I found another old Viz graphic novel, Macross 2, Love Again, I think is the subtitle. This is by Tsukehiro Tomita with art by Sugo Okazaki. And Okazaki did what is it? I just read, I think it was Justy. Yeah, Justy. And you can tell by his character design. Great stuff. You know, I grew up on Robotech, and Macross was always the best part, in my opinion, of the series. Then, of course, I moved on to Macross Plus. If you haven't seen Macross Plus, another great Macross series. I would recommend the movie, of course, because it's shorter. But anyways, really happy to have some Macross. I had no idea that they had actually released the manga series. So, very nice surprise. Let's see. I'll move on to some Dark Horse. And of course, I'm sure you know what title I went ahead and picked up. And that is Kenji Suruta's Wandering Island. This is the second volume. For some reason, this was listed as I think it was like dropped after the first volume, or not dropped, but discontinued. And I guess Suruta decided to pick it up again. His art is great. Big fan of it. one Kodansha book. That is Colosseum, Volume 5, by Yasushi Baba. Yasushi Baba, in cooperation with Kodansha Comics, proudly presents Colosseum, Volume 5. Crazy, violent action, and of course we have good old Putinov there. If you like your seinens a little quirky but with enough action to satisfy the action enthusiast. But now I move on to some vertical comics. Wait, first up I have After the Rain by Jun Miyazawa. This is the second volume omnibus, so volume 3 and 4. Slice of life story. I was a little worried it would be too much about the girl ogling her boss, and I don't know, but I'm enjoying it. I like the whole weird twist, little spins on their story. Typical slice of life, I guess, but a lot of fun. More slice of life. I have The Delinquent Housewife, volume 2 and 3. I need to catch up with volume 3, but volume 2 was a lot of fun. It's very quirky. It's not as serious, I guess, as After the Rain, but still very much slice of life. The grandpa in it is awesome. He's probably my favorite character. Is he just old and senile, or is he perv straight out? I don't know, but he's a fun guy. If you like a little bit of silliness with slice of life, you know, you could go with The Delinquent Housewife over After the Rain, or why choose? Read them both, right? Something that isn't slice of life, and of course, you know, it is more Stomu Nihei, Apple Seams. This is very shonen-y. I realized that now after this second volume. All we get is Ethero, which is our main character, battle after battle. So yeah, it isn't Knights of Sidonia. Still, I'm a big fan of the art. Nihei does some great stuff, and then when you least expect it, Nihei goes a little over the top, and he gives us some page layouts like this, and you gotta love when Nihei gets a bit sadistic. I better move on. I move on to the last vertical comics title I picked up, and I'm not sure why I even picked this up, but this I was actually gonna drop. I think I picked up volume 1 of the series maybe, I don't know, a year ago, and I wasn't too excited after I read that first volume. And then I recently found out that it closed at 6 volumes, so I'm like, maybe I should give it another shot. I pulled it out of the box I was gonna take to Goodwill, or wherever I take the manga I don't want. And I gave it a second read, and I have to say, I still enjoyed the action of it, so I figured, why not? I got volume 2 of Immortal Hounds by Ryo Yasuhachi, and yeah, pretty much it is an action series. I think what I didn't like about the first volume was the vignettes that sort of explains the story, what vectors are, and the whole immortality stuff and all that. But this volume doesn't have any of that, so it concentrated mostly on our characters. Kenzaki here is a great character, and I really enjoy the tactical aspect of the series. It kind of reminds me of Ajin, but it's different. You know, you have all the tactical action stuff, but then the immortality aspect of Ajin is completely different from that of Immortal Hounds. So two series that share a similar aspect but are very different. If you're into action, I think they both serve their purpose. I move on to the last book I picked up, and that would be Wonderland. This is volume 1. by Yugo Ishikawa. And I believe this is another 6 volume series or something like that. It is the only Seven Seas book I picked up. It has a nice wraparound cover. Do you really consider them wraparound when the spine kind of cuts in the middle? Probably not, right? Otaku Mike has a first impressions video on this volume. If you want to go check it out, and I figured, I'd give it a shot as well. It is basically a fantasy horror. We have this girl who wakes up and she realizes she's shrunken down, and it's kind of like a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, sort of, but with a lot of violence and a lot of gore. And you don't know what's going on. There's some reports going over the air on TV, and they're kind of iffy. And this thing was very exciting. It had a lot of nice, crazy action. You get this sort of a zombie movie feeling, but not really. You get post-apocalyptic aspects, and yeah, very gory. I thought 3 by 3 Eyes was probably the goriest thing I was reading, but then I picked that up, and I think that one is a bit gorier. So if you like your weird fantasy, post-apocalyptic, even a bit of Akira kind of feeling towards the end, it is a very interesting first volume. I'm gonna continue picking up Wonderland and see where it goes. There you go. That was my haul for January, first haul of the year. It's a pretty hefty haul, I would say, for a month's worth. If you've read Immortal Hounds by now, let me know what you thought about it. If you've read any of these, let me know. I thank you all very much for watching. New subscribers, thank you all for subscribing. Old subscribers, thank you very much for sticking around. And I guess we'll catch up in the next video. Thank you for watching.